Okay, here's a wild thought for you. What if, to make something last forever, you actually have to build it to disappear? Yeah, I know, it sounds like a total riddle, right? But this idea might just be the key to fixing our incredibly fragile digital world. So let's unpack this paradox because it could completely reshape our digital lives. I mean, really think about this for a second. Let's talk about something huge, like a 30-year mortgage. When you sign those papers, you think you're just betting on your ability to make the payments, right? Wrong. You're also making a massive bet that the bank, all its software, the servers, the entire digital infrastructure it uses, will all still be there and working perfectly 30 years from now. Now, be honest. Does that sound like a safe bet to you? So the whole problem really starts with this one core assumption that honestly our entire digital economy is built on. The source material we're digging into for this explainer has a great name for it. They call it the forever fallacy. And trust me, it's a really dangerous one. All right, so what is this fallacy? Well, it's this idea that for any agreement to be secure, the system that records it, a bank's server or even a public blockchain, that system has to last forever. But let's get real for a second. In the real world, companies go bankrupt, protocols get updated or abandoned. Forever in tech usually means what, 15 years if you're lucky? And this is where it gets messy. This whole fallacy creates something the source calls dependency debt. Basically, it forces us into this awful choice. You've got two options, and neither is great. On one side, you have these big, centralized registries, think banks, that hold all the keys to your financial life. They basically have extortion power over you. And on the other side, you've got public blockchains. Sure, they're decentralized, but they create a permanent public record of everything. Talk about a privacy nightmare.
So, what's the alternative? If both of those are bad, where do we go? This is where things get really, really fascinating. The solution, proposed by something called the Internet Trust Layer, or ITL, is longevity through death. That's right. The idea is, to make a relationship last for 30 years, you have to make absolutely sure it doesn't depend on any permanent infrastructure at all.
And this slide just nails the shift in thinking. The old way is all about trusting the platform. Think of it as trusting the room where the deal happens. But the new way? It says that room can be totally disposable. It can disappear. Why? Because the trust isn't in the place anymore. It's in the proof. It's in that cryptographic handshake that's shared only between the people involved. Okay, so how on earth does this actually work for a 30-year mortgage? I mean, if everything is disposable, how do you keep a record of anything for decades? The key here is a change in perspective. You have to stop thinking of it as one long marathon and start seeing it as a relay race. It all starts at the very beginning. You and the lender, you agree on something called a grammar of debt. Now, this isn't just your current balance. No, it's way more than that. It's like the entire DNA of your financial relationship. It lays out all the rules for payments, interest, even what happens if there's a dispute. And the crucial part? This grammar is portable. It belongs to you and the lender, not to the bank's server. Okay, so here's how that monthly handoff actually works. Every month, a temporary context is born. Just for a moment. Its job is to look at the proof from last month, make sure it's valid, process this month's payment, and then create a brand new proof. And then, poof, that context just dies. It vanishes completely. The only thing connecting last month to this month is that new cryptographic proof. That's the baton in the relay race. Now, I know exactly what you're thinking. Okay, that sounds all neat and tidy, but life is messy, right? What happens when something goes wrong, when there's a disagreement? Well, this is where this incredible idea of an on-demand courtroom comes into play. Exactly. Let's say it's year 22 of your mortgage. You know you made a payment, but the bank's records say you didn't. How in the world do you prove your case if all those temporary rooms where the payments happened just vanished into thin air? The answer is something called embedded jurisdiction. Remember that grammar you both agreed to way back at the start? Well, you use that to summon a temporary arbitrator, a digital courtroom, into existence. This courtroom reconstructs the entire ground truth of your payment history, using the private records from both you and the bank. It then issues a final mathematically enforceable judgment. And then, just like everything else in this system, it vanishes. I mean, this is a profound change. The source material puts it perfectly. The law is embedded in the transaction itself. Think about what that means. You're no longer dependent on some external, expensive court system to try and figure out your agreement decades later. The rules for how to fix things are baked right into the deal from day one. So, okay, this is all cool tech, but why should you personally care? What does this mean for you? Well, it all leads to this massive shift in power, a shift toward what the source calls personal data sovereignty. It's really about you, finally, owning your own story. And all of this is possible because of something called the microledger. The best way to think about it is like a personal flight recorder for your entire economic life. It's private, it's tamper-proof, but here's the kicker. Unlike a public blockchain, this thing is stored only on your own devices. It's your history, and it belongs to you and you alone. Just look at this comparison here. In the world we live in today, your history is basically a public monument owned by some giant platform. But in this new ITL world, your history is a private lineage of proofs that you own. You never have to hand over all your data. You just provide a specific cryptographic proof when you need to. That's it. And this brings us to the ultimate payoff. The source just nails it with this quote. Sovereignty is the ability to walk away. Think about that. Because you own your entire history in your own microledger, you can switch banks, switch insurance companies, switch whatever service provider you want at any time. You just take your proofs and walk. You're not trapped anymore. You know, when you take a step back and look at the big picture, you realize this isn't just about some new tech. This is proposing a whole new physics for how accountability works online. It's a fundamental shift from building fragile monuments to creating living, breathing lineages. So, what does this new physics actually look like in practice? Well, it's an internet of agreements where three simple but powerful things are true. 1. Infrastructure is totally disposable. 2. Memory is local and private. And 3. Justice is embedded right into our agreements from the very beginning. And that brings us to the final, really powerful idea here. For decades, we have been obsessed with building permanence. We've built these massive digital monuments, huge databases, public blockchains, all designed to last forever. But the irony is, they're incredibly fragile. It's time to stop. And instead, it's time to start building lineage, to create strong, private, and truly lasting chains of verifiable moments. Relationships that survive not because they're etched in stone for the whole world to see, but because the proof of their existence, well, that belongs only to you.